Well, you found Firearm Fury again on old YouTube. Out here at the range again. I had a few videos on reloading 223, and I thought I had decided on a load, but I want to make sure. So on my test, I'll have a link up above to my last reloading video with the AR15 223, and in the links below I'll have a few more that I've done. So there's a couple loads that I want to test. Now I usually test at 100 yards, but since I am going to be doing long range with this, a little bit of long range with this AR15, I have moved it out to 200 yards just to see if the accuracy from one bullet to another is significant enough for me to influence my decision. So I'm going to do this one last test to determine what I'll end up using for my load. So we've got a target out to 200 yards, and I will first be testing the 23.7 grains. I'm gonna shoot 5 on this first one, just because I did clean the gun out a bit, and if there is a first round, the first round shot may have been a little off because of that. So I'll shoot 5 for this one. Okay, now I'll be testing the 24.3. Now this is the load that I did decide on, so we'll see how well this does. I'll just shoot 4 shots now. Now the last load I'm testing is after the first round, stopped testing this, but I'm gonna give it a test just while I'm out here and just see what it does. It's the 24.6 grains. As you can tell in that video, my scope was a little off. I'm not sure what happened to it, but it was shooting low, so some of the shots are hard to see. Anyways, I wasn't entirely happy with the results, so I decided to go out another day and to do a similar test to see if I got similar results. So this portion of the video will be next. Go ahead and continue on to watch that, and as always I'll do a summary of the results here and the results in the next part of the video. Stay tuned. Okay, this is the 24.3 grains, 230 yards away. Okay, 24.6 grains. This is two rounds of 23.7. Now, just for the heck of it, I've got some 24 grains loaded up, and I'm going to shoot the big red target in the middle. Okay, after everything's heated up, I'm going back to the 24.3s. Okay, this is the last 4 shots. Gun's all heated up, haven't given it 80 breaks. Got 24.6. Okay, now that you've seen the targets, we've got the exciting portion of the video. So first up, in that first segment where I shot the 4 shots each of the 23.7, 24.3, and 24.6, this was at 200 yards. The group size for the 23.7 was about 3.75. Group size for the 24.3 grains was about 5.5, and then the group size for the 24.6 is about 3.9. I'm sorry, some of these shots were hard to see. I think one of them for the 23.7 was off the paper target, so it was hard to see. It was down there in the blue. I highly doubt you'll be able to see that in the film. These numbers here for the feet per second, the standard deviation, I didn't gather this data this time around. I gathered it a few videos ago. If you have not seen that video, you need to check it out, because I did this test with all these loads at 100 yards. I actually did it twice. So you want to check out the results there so that this video makes sense for you, especially the analysis part of this video. I'm not going to read off the standard deviation and the velocity. You can see it there on the screen, but I may reference to it a little bit. After I did that first video, as I said earlier, I wasn't too impressed. I was a little concerned because I wasn't sure why my scope was off. Last time I remember, I had it zeroed for these loads with the suppressor. Anyway, I wasn't too happy, so I went, and a couple days later, and I did a similar test. This time I went out to 230 yards, and I tested 4 shots of the 24.3 grain. This group was pretty good. There's 3 shots within 1¼ inches, and then there's 1 flyer 4 inches away. I then shot the 24.6 grains, and we had about a 2.5 inch group with 3 of those shots, and then there was one flyer about 2 inches away. I then shot the 2 shots of the 23.7, and I was thinking that this might do pretty good because it did pretty good in the tests. Anyway, we did the 2 shots. We got about 4 inches for those 2 shots there, so that wasn't too great. Then I shot 24 grains. This one actually didn't do too well in the 100 yards test, but it did pretty well here. We did a 4-shot group, and 3 were within an inch and a half. And then there's one flyer about 2 inches away. After I shot all of these rounds, I went back so that I could separate the shots. I then put the scope setting back where it was initially, and I fired a 3-shot group with the 24.3 grains. Now, 2 of these were within 1 inch, and there was one flyer that was about 2 inches away. Now, these shots, the point of impact from that first group, it was about half an inch, if that, to the right. The total group size for all of the 24.3 grain, well, there's about five out of the 7 shots were within an inch and a half. There were 2 flyers. The total group size was about 7 inches. The second group with the 24.6 grains, there were 3 within about 2.5 inches. One flyer about 3 inches away, so pretty similar group to the first group of the 24.6. The total group was about 6.5 to 7 inches, and the second group, it shifted 3 inches right of the first group. After going through all this data, I think that second test at 230 yards was a much better test, a pretty robust test. I was laying down, I was pretty steady. The results seem to be better with most, if not all, of the loads. So I think I narrowed it down, taking into consideration the results from the first video. I kind of ruled out the 24 grains. I was surprised how well it did, but I guess I just ruled that out because of the inconsistencies that we had in that first video at 100 yards. Then I looked at the standard deviation and the velocity. The velocity is slightly higher for the 24.6 grains. Obviously, it has a little bit more powder in it. Standard deviation is actually a little better with the 24.6. The 24.3, though, it's right there with the standard deviation, very close. And the group size was just a lot better with the 24.3. The point of impact after the barrel and suppressor were heated up was pretty much spot on, and like I say, the group size was pretty impressive. So I think I'm going to go with the 24.3 grains. Hey, now if you're loading 223, you should have a good place to start, a good idea of what you can expect. Let me know in the comments what you think. You find all this, looking at all these numbers and everything, is that interesting to you? Does that help you out? Comment below. Let me know. Hey, thanks for joining in Firearm Fury, and I'll see you next time.